Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Today, we are going to talk about Grafana Loki. In the meantime, Vaibhav, you can ask your teammates to join this, and hopefully, people join it. We'll wait for a couple of minutes. Right. So, what is Grafana Loki? Dashboard, obviously, dashboard. When it talks of Grafana is our bread and butter. Prometheus Grafana. But when we talk about, I hope you can hear me good. All right. All right. Thank you
Yeah,
for the confirmation. So when we talk about Grafana Loki, it gives us a dashboard wherein we can actually search in a better way, play in a better way. Because what happens is when we are trying to pass through values, when we are trying to go through values, we want to filter them out, right? And we want to filter them out with date, with type, and with rejects sometimes, right? So uh, in that ways, Grafana Loki is one of the best tools in the market, wherein we can play around with data and how we are trying to get around with logs basically. So we will wait for a minute. If you have any questions right now, before we even begin, you can ask us right away. Is there any questions, guys?
no,
But
Rahul.
yeah,
We are just trying to understand.
you're trying. Okay, nice to see our front end studio head here, Neeraj. Welcome to the session, and I hope
Thank you.
you'll have a fruitful learning here. But
Hopefully.
what we are trying to probably showcase in this session is the ease of use. First of all, it is open source, right? We have a lot of log aggregation tools, right? And then you visualize it somewhere. uh, your visualization can be K, that is Kibana, or your own Angular JS dashboard, right? But what we are trying to uh, maintain here is how we are going to play around with the logs we have, how we are going to parse around with those logs. So what Grafana Loki does is it gives you that ease of use, right? And the main part is how do you query things. When I talk about querying things, querying is like how you play around with data. So for example, you're trying to search for something, you know a particular keyword. It can be type, it can be rejects, it can be timestamp, it can be multiple things. So when you are trying to play around with those things, so you're querying the data. It's kind of a database, right? Your logs are being aggregated somewhere, and you're trying to query those. How do you play around with that? You have tools, and you have some, let us say, open source aggregation system. Now, it visualization you all know, right? But Loki is designed to handle huge data. But when there is huge data, how do you query things? How do you play with that data, right? So that is where Loki comes in. Now, how do I query the data? How do I play around? And how do I search? I want to search it with a keyword. I want to search it with a timestamp, and I want to search it with something like which is meaningful. For example, I have a meaning full phrase according to the project, according to the cloud I am working in, right? Now that is different. So that is different. So that's where Loki, you can configure that on your dashboard, and that's how you can take it forward. So what I'll do, if you don't have any questions to start with, I'll hand over the stage to Vaibhav, and we'll have a fruitful learning today. So all the best, and happy learning, guys. Over to you, Vaibhav.
Thank you, Rahul. So let's start with the presentation. Is my voice audible clearly?
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yes, yes, Vaibhav.
Thank you. So as Rahul has told, that Loki is our today's topic. Now, before that, we should see that we are punctual as it is in our etiquettes. The feedback, please provide us the feedback so that we can improve. And please maintain the silence. And you should avoid any disturbance. You may leave the meeting if you have some urgent call and may join in between. We may have FAQ in between, and let's start. So the agenda. First, before going to know Loki, you should know what is log aggregation. Now, after that, we will know about Loki, then its architecture, and then we will move to the demo part. So log aggregation. Okay, since this is a company national, there are many departments. It is at very places. There can be HR department, IT department, engineering department. You should be able to aggregate the data to a point, and then you can query. The query part comes after the data is collected, filtered, and put in a format which makes it easier to be separated and shared. Now, how can it be useful? It makes the data effective on a small scale, useful for large companies. In small companies, if we see before, it is easy. Like there are 18 people, 10 peoples, and two are handling one department, four are handling one department. So it is easy to communicate. Now, comparing with small and large companies, the aggregation becomes a very important part. And if you are to troubleshoot anything, you should have the data to troubleshoot. If you don't know what is the error, it will become very difficult that how have the error came. The traceability, it helps in the security compliance as well. Now there are many tools. I have listed two here. One is Grafana Loki and another is Logstash. If you have used the EFK or EFK stack, there you use the Fluentd. Now about Grafana Loki. So uh, starting, it is an open source. You can get the code on GitHub. If I showcase here, this is the code of Loki available. So you can modify if you want. You can use freely. Now it is scalable multi-tenant log aggregation system. It is a system, not a tool, because there are many things which are part of a whole Loki environment, which brings the data to it, modifies it, and makes it useful for us. It is inspired from Prometheus. So it does the filtering and it indexes your blogs. Now, there is a key difference between Prometheus and Loki. First of all, in Prometheus, you pull the data from targets. But in Loki, all the data is pushed to a point, not gained from a point. Second, Prometheus works on the metric part, but Loki works on the log part. These two are the prime difference between Loki and Prometheus. And since it is inspired from Prometheus, many things become useful because Prometheus Grafana are the key element of monitoring in DevOps or and other fields as well. Now, if you see, Loki system consists of three things: the agent or client, whatever you may call it, the main server Loki, and a monitoring dashboard. In our demo, we will use Grafana as the dashboard, but if you change the stack, you can use different. If you go with the work, the flow, as you can see, the process log, application log, service log. Now, as I said, it is multi-tenant. There are two ways you can use it. The client is deployed on two nodes. So it is taking the service logs from this node and application process logs are coming from here and put to the central server of Grafana Loki. Now the Grafana dashboard can log using log QL. So if you have used Prometheus, there is a PromQL, Prometheus query language. In the same way, we have a log query language. We will see it in the coming slides and the demo as well. Now, how Loki is useful? It is efficient way of memory storage because it reduces the uh, part, it zips the file and then stores. It is multi-tenant, so it is not that if your work is on this node and then again you have to set up a new system for another node. Different tenants have separation on the Loki server, and then it is shared. You can use log query language to easily get your queries and differentiate and get this particular data wanted. It is cost effective. Why? Because the data is small, stored in the place, and easily integratable with other open source environment. Now it is scalable and flexible. I will show you in the next slide how it easily integrates with Grafana. It is a key point because Grafana is used in various places for dashboard. Now, if you see the architecture, there starting a distributor, ingester, queries. These are the main three things for Loki. And if you follow the workflow, we use the distributor to send the data. And then there is ingester, which filters out the data. And then the data is stored at a point in an object store format, key value pair. Simple. Object store is relevant to key value pair. They are in chunks, means separated in small groups, and they are indexed using the logs labels. Now, what is ruler? Ruler is actually a rule group defined uh, by the cluster as well. So they use the rule group of the cluster to filter out the data and then make the index. Now queries are using the log query, and there is a front end as well. It is an optional. It is not necessary that you use query front end. You can directly use the log query and then get the data. Now, if going to the next slide, see of what I told. A distribution does the pre-processing, limiting, then it forwards the data to ingester and is does the hashing. Why? So that the data is in a single format. Now in ingester, in write path and read path. See, ingester does the work both in write path and the read path. So in write path, it writes the log data to the long-term storage backend. See, this is can be defined to a particular place, like a persistent volume. If you are using a Kubernetes cluster, you define the persistent volume and use the storage class. Then your data will be stored at a particular place. Otherwise, if the particular pod goes down for Loki, maybe your data is lost. Now there are various states like pending, joining, active, leaving, unhealthy. The ingester maintains its state. Now, whenever you query, you get the data from two places, ingester and from the long-term storage. If the data is on ingester, it is easy to get from there. Otherwise, you have to go to the large chunk. So depending on the state, you are able to. The best state is active one, living in when you are terminating, and unhealthy it tells that you need a new ingester. The query front end, what it does, it for the whatever work is written here, it works on the log QL provided to it. It queues your logs, means the queries you have provided they are queued. Like if you there is a load of multiple queries, it will queue the data and then share. It will split it, then cache the data, so that if some logs query came, it you can take the data from there only. Querier, which is here in queries, it simply it is the actual on which the query front end works. The ruler, as I have defined there, they are the rule groups for your cluster services. The next, the index and the chunks, as I have defined it. That database maintenance in the key value pair form can use various database, Cassandra, Google Big Table, DynamoDB. The chunks are actual data, the logs which have came from various services and stored to a backend like S3, and in Azure you have blob storage, and it depends in whichever cloud or per server you are using. Now we going to the second part of the architecture, which is deployment mode. When you deploy your Loki, you can do it in monolithic form and microservice form. So uh, microservice, provides you more flexibility and scalability, but you can have the scalability using the shared object storage. When you have a single point of storing, the PVC can be stored, shared, the database is shared, so it will be easily to use it, but it cannot be scaled to a large level. It can be approximately 100 GB per day, but for a small company it is easy to use. So we will in the demo use the monolithic form. Now how is it monolithic? Like if you see one instance of your Prometheus, sorry, Loki server, the digester, ingester, ruler, querier, query frontend, all are in one instance and the other instance. So you define the both rules for each instance. But if you come to the microservice part, the write part can be differentiated and the read part can be differentiated. So individually, each can be scaled up as a pod, which gives us more flexibility. Now, like here, I have two distributor, and here I have three distributor. It cannot be achieved on here. For that, I have to again create one more instance. Now coming to the demo part, before that, in my environment, I'm using AWS, in which I have created an EKS cluster. I am using 3 nodes, because I will showcase that how Prometheus, if I tell you, is a daemon set. So it will be deployed in on each node to get the data. And our stack is PLG stack, Prometheus, Loki, Grafana. Coming back to the demo area. Okay. So I have 3 nodes that are ready to deploy it. I will following these steps to deploy the Loki Helm. Why? Because if you go to the documentation in the installation, it provides a different ways. So I do not have Grafana Cloud, which uses tank up mode. I will be using the Helm mode. Docker can be used for locally, but I wanted to show you on a Kubernetes cluster, so I'm using the Helm part. So first we will add Helm repo. If I list all the repo in my Helm, so I have two. One is for Prometheus. While doing the practice, I use it, but we will be focusing on Grafana because Grafana provides us Loki. We will be using the Loki stack in which already a prompted a Grafana and Loki is provided. Is the terminal visible or should I zoom it? Before doing anything, we should always update. Now, see, you have many things under because there are many charts that Grafana provide. We need the Loki stack one. We are not using the distributed one, which is microservice. We are using the simple instance one. And before going that, I want to tell you that there is a one simple in which you can group and use the Loki particular values like distributor and ingester in a instance. An instance consisting of particular uh, architecture field of Loki. Like if I go to the slide, as I've shown you that this instance is having all at once. You can have an instance which is only consisting of digester and ingester, sorry, distributor and ingester. So I will be using Loki stack. Now before that, we should always get the values which need to be modified as per our use case. So we got a lot of value which we do not need, like there is logstash, filebeat, Prometheus, fluentbit. We do not need them. So we will modify it. See, we need only Loki, we need only Prometheus, and we need only Grafana. The image is latest one 8.3.5, which is given provided from Helm. Now you can see two things over here. One is this client input provided on the Prometheus. So the client may, the Prometheus should know where from where it is to push the data to, like the Loki URL, but you do not have the Loki URL as now. So we are using the default Jinja format in which it will generate the URL here. Now, if I have to deploy this, one thing here, I am creating a namespace with name Loki so that everything that I install, deploy, should go to that namespace Loki. These are the deprecated things which should be updated with the recent Helm chart, which is generated afterwards. So we will list everything that is being deployed inside Loki. I'm using an alias for kubectl k. You can use directly kubectl get all. So it is a stateful set that it almost takes 1 minute to deploy. Till then, we go to the next steps. Okay, it is ready. So, before see, we need a dashboard on Grafana. We have a Grafana here in this pod, Loki Grafana this, and we have Prometheus, and you can see Prometheus is a daemon set. I said the daemon set, and so it knows that there are 3 nodes, so it has desired 3, and now 3 are ready. So we would be getting the logs on our Loki from these 3 clients or agents, which are running individually on each node. If you want, we can get these pods. So you can see it is running on this pod of AWS. Okay, get nodes. This one. If I list another one, it would be running on different, not the same. Here, it is different and it is running on this one. If I will list next one, it would be running on the next. Now we want to open the dashboard. Since it is on cluster IP, we need to forward the address to a particular port. As we have not defined to be a load balancer or an ingress, we need to do that. If you modify the service for this, you can get the IP directly instead of forwarding it. Like if I get these services under Loki, so you can see it is not having any external IP. If I had modified it to a load balancer, there would have been an external IP on which we would be going. So first the name of the pod is and if I open it here, now we need the user and password. By default, admin is the username, but sorry, any queries? We need the password. For that, we need to get the secret. First, we will list the secret. So we have a secret Loki Grafana. We will be using this to log in. Now here, see, inside I am doing -o template. So the template area is being listed. In that I'm going to the index where dot data is equal to admin password. And then since all in Kubernetes uses the base 64 encoding, I am doing the base 64 decryption. And if I do not use echo over here, see what happens. I am not able to, when I will copy it, it will come with the hyphen. Now I just log in. So this is the dashboard. Since this is the monitoring board where we need to create dashboards. So first I will show you how log query works. In this, I have taken Loki, and in browser, there is two ways you can use log query. Either you should know how log query works, or you can use this log browser. It provides all the labels that are presented in the cluster, and from there you can take, like if I list the namespace and I have deployed as logger deployment, which just gives you logs in this format. Let me show you like this. It is only giving me logs one by one continuously. If I list kget pod -n sam. So this is listing me logs continuously. If I do k logs, hyphen and sample, so you can see it is continuously giving me the logs. Since I have not attached it, so it is giving the output and then coming out. So these logs are coming out continuously. If I list the here, simply show logs. So the log will form is this, and using the UI I was able to list all the logs. Now you can do now if I go for the namespace Loki, I want the logs for for uh, prompted and do. So these are the logs that are coming from Loki, the prompted itself. Each whichever container is prompted, it is giving me the logs. You can use wrap lines. You can use pretty JSON file. Now see it is prettified, and here is the logs in the graph form. Now you can use the same thing and create dashboard. If anyone has any query, you can ask. Then otherwise I can move to the next part. Anyone? Any query?
Yeah, hello, Weber.
Hi.
My question is like we are running an application in Kubernetes,
Yes.
but we are running that application in a particular nodes. Like we have created a node pool, in that we are running our application. So if we do the daemon set, like we run the prompt as a daemon set, it will run in all nodes. But my need is that I only want the logs of a particular pods that is running in a particular nodes. So is that is possible, or what will be the best approach?
See, here is the node name. Just simply I select this node, and whichever node, which data is present on which node, as per that you will get the input. Let me first remove everything. Okay. Now if you say that I want data for particular node, this one 31, 32.
No, like I want to run this Promptel and Grafana in a particular nodes, like not as a daemon set, because daemon set will run this in all the nodes.
Yes.
But I don't want that, because my application is running on particular nodes. So is that possible to run this Promptel on a particular node?
It is possible. You need to modify the YAML file, but you cannot use Helm at that time.
Okay.
Since you are using a custom format,
Yeah.
like in values, as you have seen, I have just modified the things. It is here I have to provide the URL to which it shares the output push. Okay, so if, this is for the Loki part. Now this promptel, it is a like a using the template. These are the values, and it is generating the format. If you go here in the Helm chart, in the charts, Loki stack, chart.yaml. The options provide from here. I only have changed the whatever is required for me. So there was no option for individually. You can use different chart if you want. Like this is a stack. You can use the promptel one here. Okay. Now if you see the values again, daemon set is enabled is true. You can change it and it will be false. So now you need to define your nodes where it should go using the label.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Vaibhav, got that. I will try this.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Yeah.
Where were we? And while telling you, I have said that I'm using Prometheus as a client. You can use different clients. Like I've told you, there is Fluentd, Fluentbit, Logstash. So in the values, when I have listed them, you might have seen that there were values already there. You need to just modify. So if I do not want to use Prometheus, I can use Fluentd instead of that. It depends on your use case. So what I had shown you is like in sample. Now I want to get it every 5 times. It's not taking now, but there are various, like there is some over time. In that, if I want the value, like I listed for all the logs, now I want to list the particular logs values, then you can use, let me start. If I go to the namespace, if we go for cube system, if I list here, now I want the string to be stder every time. And in that individually, now if I will go get the particular log, no time, remove this. And so inside this, I want that whichever is having sync proxy rules. So here I will do a pipe which will be equal to, and then this. I'll do a star over here and dot star, since it is starting from here and I don't know where it is ending. It is the regular expression which I'm using here. And if I do query, sorry, shift plus enter starts your query. I'm sorry that it is not listing. Maybe in the deployment it is not catching up, but it should list the particular logs where this particular sync proxy rules are written. Like this system container proxy. Now there are no logs for this as well. It is not picking up the logs of the jobs inside a different namespace. Maybe there would be error since the helm chart I have to update. But yeah, this was the demo. If anyone wants to create the dashboard, I can connect you afterwards, as this time it is not working, but I can show you how the dashboard is created. Anyone who has used the Grafana, it is simply either you import a JSON, which there are multiple JSON format dashboards are provided. You need to only modify them and then use. Or if I try add a new panel, simply the query options. Sorry, yeah, using the same way the log browser. Like I've used this and this is missing the time data, so it is not able to convert it into graph. It will the more filter I use, the better the data will be, and then we would be able to create the graph over here. Any other questions? No? Any other questions, anyone?
Yeah, hi, Vaibhav. So, if we use a Grafana Loki, then did we not need to use the Prometheus?
No, you can use both at the same time, but it is not necessary. Like Grafana can have multiple data source.
Okay.
And in the starting, if I go here, not here. You might have seen there was a value for Prometheus. If I
Yes.
had enabled it, it would have been using it.
Okay.
So that was the demo. Thank you, everyone.